Welcome to Just Hair Me Out, a podcast about love, life, and hair. I'm Barbara. I've spent over 38,000 hours coloring hair.
Hi, I'm Demetra, and I've spent over 1,000 weeks with scissors in my hands.
With 50 clients a week in our chairs and 22 years on our feet, doing hair is not our hobby, it's our hustle. We've navigated salon politics and then opened salon suites of our own in 2020. We choose dogs over kids, skinny marks over beer, and we've only fired 3 clients each. Hello, welcome back to Just Hear Me Out.
Welcome.
Today we're going to talk about the aches and pains of being a hairdresser, also known as really helpful information from 2 old bitches who've been standing. So if you stand for a living, then this is going to be helpful.
Yes.
Hear us out. So let me start out with my little story, and you tell me if you have any similarities here.
Okay.
So about, I would say within 10 years of being a stylist, I was having like lower back pain quite a bit. And of course, you know, like your run-of-the-mill feet hurting, but that's, I think, a function of realizing that you can't wear shoes that like just look cute. They have to be for standing. So that took away my foot pain, but I had so much trouble with back pain, lower back pain specifically. And there was a point where I don't, there's not a good term for this, but threw my back out. And when you say you throw your back out, it's like, you know, to the point where you're on the ground and you can't get up. And strangely, the doctors don't like do imaging to figure out what's wrong. They just say, well, it's one of 2 or 3 things. And within a week, you'll be able to walk again.
Yeah.
Which is like
hot,
super
hot
scary.
compresses, you know, things like that.
And they give you narcotics for pain, ibuprofen, like super strong ibuprofen, or high dose, I mean, for inflammation, and a muscle relaxer. And they say, lay in bed for a week. I also got a lecture about losing weight, which is not new.
To help with like back pain or?
Yes, I just mean, I find it frustrating because in America, our Western medicine, the doctors aren't taught a ton about food and nutrition, and we have a lot of misconceptions. Okay, that's a whole other podcast episode. But what I'm saying is you can be actually very healthy and weigh more than you ought to.
Yeah.
That's my point. So anyway, I'm just saying like they blame it on that. And it's like you really don't want to hear that it's your fault because you weigh too much when you can't hardly walk. So that was kind of a downer.
Oh, for sure.
But, you know, I was told slip disc, pinched nerve. We don't know. Like, you just explain like, oh, I felt burning. It's frustrating because even once you heal from that, you still have like aches and pains in your back, and you don't know at what exactly to do for them. And
there's really nothing you can do.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
it's just not a fast thing, especially right if you actually are at the point where you have thrown your back out, you're having like an episode, as I would say, then you can't do anything except rest to come back from it.
Yeah, you're forced into doing nothing.
Yeah, and you can't work.
Right.
Therefore, you can't make money.
Right.
And we don't have a union. So it's stressful. That's what I'm saying.
It is. It's very stressful. It's, you know, a lot of people say, oh my God, you know, you're so busy. I can't get in for 7 or 8 weeks. You should just work more days. It's not that easy. Just because the clientele is there to just, of course I would want to make an abundance of money and, you know, but you physically can't do it. When I explain this to people, and it's kind of messed up that you have to explain to people how I can't work more than 32 hours standing, you know, and doing shampoos and cleaning my room. You know, that's just my time behind a chair, right? You still have to run a business. There's advertising, there's accounting, there's ordering, there's other stuff you have to do when you're not just behind the chair.
Yeah.
And my foot, on my left foot, I have a hairline fracture. My first salon that I worked at, we literally would stand, he had stone flooring and
Oh,
it was beautiful, but we also, it was mandatory to wear heels, even if it was like a
no.
kitten heel. When I first started in the industry, no jeans. We had to wear all black, dress pants, button downs, very dressy, very one of those salons. And I fucked up my foot. I had a hairline fracture. I wore a boot for several weeks. I had a cortisone shot in it. And basically, unless I wanted to go in for surgery and be off of my foot for 3 months, 3 months minimum. It could have been anywhere from 3 months to 6 months. I can't be out of work from 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So I've been dealing with that now for the last 8 years. It just got to the point where I can't even wear heels now. Sometimes I wear them when I go out, and that's if I know I'm sitting the whole time. But it really sucks because that's from working. I messed up my foot from
Yeah.
standing all day long.
Yeah.
So it's not just my foot that hurts. I have carpal tunnel in both of my wrists now. My lower back is constantly always hurting. While I'm doing blowouts, I mean, the aches and pains will go on and on and on. A lot of them I just kind of deal with. I come home. I like to take lots of hot baths with my Epsom salts, and, it helps, but it's not. Sometimes
Yeah.
literally I've had it. Clients are in my chair in the middle of like a blow dry, and my back will literally lock up on me and I can't even move. I mean, it's not only stressful to be in pain, but knowing that if you're not taking the time to heal, you need to take time off of work. Like you say, we don't get paid for that. Your body's taking its toll. That's why I'm like, slow and steady is going to win the race for me. 3-4 days a week, that's it, you know?
Yeah.
And as we get
Yeah.
older, I can't do what I once did in my 20s. As much as I would like to, I just can't, you know?
Yeah. Totally. I used to do like 10 to 12-hour days, like around holidays,
Mm-hmm.
and 5 days a week. And I don't know what I was thinking. And like when I threw my back out, I bring that up because that was the first time in my whole life. It was like my mid 30s. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize that my body could do that because I thought, oh, well, if it's just pain, I can either deal with it or I can take pain meds or I can do this. But when your
Sure.
body actually says, fuck you, and
Mm-hmm.
it won't do, it is like scary.
You cannot function. Yeah, you can't do anything. And it's
Yeah.
shutting down. It's like, all right, you're not shutting it down. I'm going to shut it down. Your body will do
Yeah.
it for you.
Yeah.
Which brings me to our body is the most amazing thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
It just knows what to do, when to do it, how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find it's difficult to like listen to my body
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's just being alive. I'm not trying to blame it on culture or something, but you just think,
Yeah.
oh, it hurts. Well, I can manage it. I can do this. I can do that. Like your
Yeah.
mind has other ideas, but no, it's not that simple.
Right.
But yeah, when I threw my back out, it was crazy stressful to me because I was forced into a week off of work because I literally could not do it. And then, at the time, I didn't have health insurance.
It's so scary
So
too.
it is really scary. And I was like, the fact that I couldn't walk for 2 days made me
Mm-hmm.
so stressed out because I was like, what the hell is this? And then you think, like, what do I need surgery? And then am I going to have to, like, move to Canada?
Right.
I mean, it's like, it's scary.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
it is quite expensive to get carpal tunnel surgery. And
Mm-hmm.
I have had it done. Um, but you're out of work for a certain number of weeks and the cost of it's intense.
Yeah. I still haven't had it done because I'm just
It's
can't
a
really
lot.
afford to be up for work like that. At
Yeah.
least not right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. And it's crazy because like a lot of us are not, like totally hurting for money, but we don't have
Mm-hmm.
any benefits at all.
Right. Or the extras, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So like
That's
all
the
the
thing.
excess money that we make, like some people might think we make kind of a lot of money, but it's just normal. It's a normal amount, I think, because you have to pay for all sorts of things that other people may not need to.
Right. That comes with their job. Their job, could be offering them 401ks,
Like
and
a
a
vacation
match,
week.
and right, paid vacations,
Yeah.
time off when you get sick that's paid. All those things, we get none of it. And I know people are like, oh, well then, but you're the one that chose, this career. You're right. We did.
Yeah.
But we're just saying, when people think, oh my God, 125 for a haircut, aren't you pocketing the whole thing? People forget, well, no, I got to pay for shampoos and conditioners, and I have rent, and I have insurance, and I have XYZ. So now you take that 125 and, you break it down. You're lucky if you're, keeping 50% of that.
Yeah. It's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, back to the back, because I feel like almost every hairdresser I know
Mm-hmm.
has lower back pain. And part of it is bending over shampoo bowl
Yes.
really helps exacerbate that. Also,
Mm-hmm.
because shampoo bowls make them like one height. So I know people who are really tall who it like cripples them to use a
Yeah.
standard shampoo bowl because they're bending over so far.
Mm-hmm.
Just the nature of how you're doing it. And it's crazy to have to think of like the best, most ergonomic way of doing each thing that we do.
Oh yeah, when I'm standing and doing a shampoo, because I'll admit I was spoiled my first 20 years. I had assistants. I never had to do my own shampoo, but now that I'm on my own in the suite, which I have to say that's the only thing that it's not that I don't like doing it. I don't like doing it because my back hurts. So it's adding to the aches and pains. Sometimes I'm doing a shampoo and I have to remind myself, okay, like I stand up straight before I get started, push the shoulders back and bend from like my hip just a little bit and keep a straight back. But sometimes you're in so much pain, you forget to pay attention and you arch your back and your shoulders go up and you're doing this. And then that's putting more pressure on your lower back. And it's the same thing, I'm sure, with coloring hair. If someone's really tall, I have a hard time. The chairs also, the hydraulics go so low. And sometimes I'm trying to blow dry and I'm all the way up here trying to get someone's hair right. But yeah, like I'm, and I think as I get older, I'm shrinking. I used to be 5'4". I'm like 5'3.5". So, if I'm not wearing platforms to work and I really have on like just gym shoes and they're like really flat, it's hard to do some people when they're tall, even, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like having something to stand on that would be stable enough that you're not worried about falling off of it while you're working.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and the anti-fatigue mats only do so much for me. Demetra's talking to her dog.
I'm sorry, you guys. She wanted uppy time. So you're on camera, girlfriend. Say hi.
Hi, Mia.
Oh, kisses.
No worries. So I just got to say, I went on quite a journey of trying to figure out what the heck is wrong with my back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'm not that abnormal. And when I look all over the internet, there's so many articles and advice for people with back problems because they sit all day.
Oh, yeah. My sister has it. Hers is hers is more related, like the sciatica part, which goes like into your hip and like kind of that butt muscle, the gluteus maximus, it like shoots down that way. And I think that's more from sitting. Whereas us, when we stand, it's more of that middle to lower back pain. It's kind of like where that lumbar would be, right? Whereas like my sister, because she sits all day at a desk, when we talk about her back pain, it's like starts from there, but then shoots further down, where mine could go either way sometimes. It just depends because I do a lot of blow drying. So sometimes from the lower back shoots up and like I can't move this way. And then sometimes like if I try to sit after work, I can't move. It just depends where it wants to settle. I mean, the struggle is real, people. Like
it is
the aches and pains, the physical, not to mention there's a lot of mental that comes with emotional. Yeah, a little bit of everything,
So I've also been to different chiropractors over the years, and I feel like they've all been quite good. Who I went to like 10 years ago, though, I mean, I think he was great. But I think things have changed a little bit since then because I saw somebody last year that had almost like newer, better information for me. The first chiropractor was saying like, oh, it means your hamstrings and your glutes are tight. And so I spent so much time trying to stretch just those things. And then this time they did, going into the chiropractor, they have, they do imaging, like X-ray. So it's not like an MRI, but to see exactly how uneven your hips might be, or like
Mine are uneven. One side is higher than the other. Yeah, so that doesn't help the pain either.
Yeah, they call it a twisted core, and it can also be from leaning more of your weight onto one leg than the other. You guys have to look some of this up and see if it makes sense for you.
Yeah.
So, what I learned was that like your quads are tight.
So
after my back went out, and then I healed from that, and was able, like, I still was in pain, and so I was like super stressed and worried because anytime I felt pain, I'm like, oh crap, what if it happens again? Where it just like where you feel like your back's on fire and then you can't walk. So for quite a while, I would take the train to work and then I would walk home. And during that time, I didn't have any pain. So I would walk about 45 minutes every day after work.
I know why.
So because I read that, you need to like loosen up your muscles.
I was just going to tell you that. It's the same thing before you work out, how they tell you to warm up, whether it be 8 to 10 minutes on the elliptical or walking, or, you have to get the blood flow going. And same thing when you're back. If you're in pain, it's kind of like that same concept, right?
Yeah. But you have to heal enough to be able to walk like that without being in pain.
You got to heal first. Do you ever use a foam roller or like a Theragun or anything like that? Or
I do. That's what I got last year.
Okay.
So things have been kind of okay for I don't know, 7 years or so. And then when I got into my own suite, I was having more back problems because, again, before I never shampooed, or very rarely.
Yeah, same.
So, so things are a little different, but I learned so much this time. So part of the issue was standing, and I think people need to talk about this more because how many people stand for a living? I think plenty of us. So your quads are connected to the hip muscles, the hip flexors. The hip flexors are the actual real problem.
Really?
So I got to say it again. Everybody who has lower back pain that stands a lot, your hip flexors could be so tight that it's pulling on your lower back and pulling your hips forward and crooked. And that's why we hurt.
So stretch out them hips.
What's difficult? Okay, so so two things. There's a condition called sacroiliitis, which is SI joint pain. I'm not a doctor. I'm just bringing this up. It's where your lower pelvis and your spine meet, and so that area, if inflamed, is causing back pain. I don't know exactly how much because I want to say that that joint is right around the hip flexor muscles that they call the iliacus and psoas. And psoas is spelled PSOAS. So these muscles are inside your body. So you can't possibly, roll them on a
foam roller or something,
because they go inside your body. Now, stay with me for a second. This is so crazy. When I was younger, so I've always been doing hair as an adult. But when I was in my 20s and 30s, and I was just working through pain. I wasn't actually doing anything about it. I would love to sleep on my stomach, which now I know is the worst thing ever. And my favorite position to sleep in is on my stomach with one knee up and my hands under a pillow. Maybe that's how I slept as a baby. I have no idea. But I cannot sleep that way. It's a problem. And every chiropractor says, why would you do that? You can't do it. Stop. When I would get up from sleeping that way, I would feel like I was having like pain in my ovaries. I thought it was like a sharp pain. I was like, oh my gosh, does that mean I'm like ovulating? What is that? And it was like a sharp pain. Now I understand those are my hip flexors because they go like from the top of your quad and on the inside of the bones that are your hips and connect to the back of your spine.
Oh wow, that's really I'm feeling it right now. I'm like trying to sit here. I'm like,
so I mean, this is just like
Wow.
mind blowing to me. Um, there's a thing called that some hairstylists I know talk about it. This a company made this thing called the hip hook,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's basically like a physical therapy aid, but
Okay.
you put it on the ground and lie on it, like just inside your hip bone, and then you push it down, and it like
Mm-hmm.
um puts pressure on those inner muscles and tries to release them. But anyway, what I'm saying is there's all these great classes now. I've started doing
Uh-huh.
Peloton that are stretching, and there's like foam roller classes, and that is how this is like it's going to be 2024 in a couple days. I actually have not had back pain this December,
Okay, well, that's awesome. I think
which is amazing.
it's extremely important in general to stretch, and especially how we're standing all day and we're having all these problems. I don't think people realize it's not just getting a massage, it's not just icing or taking something for inflammation. I think stretching alleviates a lot of the pain. You know what would help too? I have a lacrosse ball. And it's
Mm,
interesting you said that because my girlfriend, who, when I was working out, she used to be a trainer, and she would help me sometimes when we were working out. She's the one that turned me on to this lacrosse ball. And she would tell me to lay on my side where your hip is. And
mhm.
man, that shit would hurt. But I think
Mhm.
it's that same concept that you're saying to open me up because I couldn't do any like hip flexor exercises. When I mean, I was in so much pain. And anytime I would try to like come out, I would lock up. Like my hips would lock. And she's like, that's what's causing a lot of your pain, you know?
Mhm.
So I think another good thing is getting that lacrosse ball and kind of you just kind of lay on your hip on the side and you just leave the ball and you just kind of roll back and forth with it. And that helps break it. It hurts though, people. I'm going to tell you, it hurts. But you know what? I'm going to do that today. Now that I think about it, I'm like, I
Yeah.
can use a good little, yeah. So thank you,
Well, yeah,
you
so
know,
you've got to
for
like
that
look up
knowledge.
different videos on like how to stretch your hip flexors.
Yeah.
And because there's, I mean, even with a regular foam roller, there's all these things I had never even imagined. But basically, there is a lot to do with using your quads because that is the most accessible thing that is connected to them, to those hip
Wow.
flexor muscles.
Yeah.
And also, because as you say, when you're tight and you're like in so much pain, I mean, it is like, it's not like you just stretch it and you're okay. It's like a
Mm-mm.
very gradual process of like stretching every day as much as you can, but
It's a
not
rubber
making it
band.
painful.
You know
Yeah.
how like a rubber band will continue to zap right back. So even if you stretched it and it feels good at that moment, it's going to go right back. So you have to like continuously stretch it every day to get it to have
Yeah.
more of that looseness, like how we were saying, warming up, walking, stretching. It's an everyday thing. Like sometimes
Yeah.
when I don't work out for a long time and I get back into working out, I try to stretch and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do it. It hurts more and I will sweat more from stretching than
Stretching.
working out and lifting weights. Like
Yeah.
literally, I'm breathing heavier, my heart's racing more just to try to get into that stretch without hurting yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think stretching is
Um,
so important.
but being a hairdresser, I mean, you really, really need to like condition yourself. Like the best
Yeah.
when I did work 12 hours a day, I was also lifting weights. I couldn't do that if I wasn't. Like you have to be really strong. Actually, now I go
Yeah.
to work and I'm trying not to look too casual or sloppy, but I'm wearing like tennis shoes and a sports bra because I'm like this is like a workout.
Right. And I think we do our best work when we're comfortable. Remember how I said that first salon I
Yeah.
worked at, which I loved, but you had to wear heels, dress pants, button downs. It's hard to maneuver standing on stone flooring that was like uneven because it's stone. So, you know, when you're comfortable, so like you said, wearing tennis shoes and wearing our leggings and stuff like that, I agree with you. It's not that we're trying to go to work now looking like a slob, but at the same time, we're comfortable. So just know this, people, when we're comfortable, we're going to do a better job on your hair
It's
because
true.
it's true. Like it's as much as I want to look super cute sometimes, cute doesn't always, or fancy doesn't equate to being comfortable. And to give and do the best work, I think we need to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So, which I'm kind of glad, though,
Agreed.
that like jogging suits are like really in right now, or like cute leggings. You know, a lot of people wear them now because it actually is kind of a fashion, which I didn't understand it for years. How people were like, what's up with that? Everyone's around in their leggings. I'm like, I only wear them when I go to the gym. And then I realized I started doing it too. I would leave the gym, and because I'm not a big sweater, and I would go run my errands. And then I would go to the grocery store, and I'm still in my workout clothes. And I'm kind of like, oh, I like this. And then I started going to work in my workout clothes. I'm like, I like this even more. I'm really comfortable. So I'm kind of glad it's in like fashion a little too. But
Yeah.
we have to be comfortable wearing the proper shoes. Like, if I know when I first started off, people kept saying, stop wearing those 4 or 5 inch heels. Just wear like a kitten heel or get something more comfortable. And I was like, no way, man. It doesn't go with my outfit. If I can reverse 20 years back and have like stylish gym shoes, or because now they have cool shoes too where you look stylish, you know?
Yeah.
I think when we first started, gym shoes they were gym shoes. You cannot wear those to work or even make them look cute.
I don't want to sound like an ass, but whenever I look at a hairstylist and they're at work wearing heels,
I have 1 or 2
I
clients
think
that day. I hate saying it.
they're not
You're
that,
not doing 10 or 12
no,
people.
that's what I was going to say.
Sorry.
They're not good, and they're not in high demand for sure.
Especially the ones that take, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not knocking you guys that take videos and pictures of your work. It's good. But when you're really busy, you don't have time to do that. Okay. You have
It's
to
true.
you have to set a time, a specific day, and be like, okay, I'm doing this because I need to post something. Or, oh, I have an
Yeah.
extra 10, 15 minutes. Let me take a picture of this. This was a great before and after. Maybe I had a few extra moments. I try to post a few things just so people have an idea of the kind of work I do. But when I'm doing 12, 15 people a day, 10 people a day, you don't have time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So when you're really busy, you just don't have the time.
Yeah. Well, the way you and I schedule, I've seen it with your people too. I have between 0 and 5 minutes between people, and I book it that way on purpose so I can fit in
Me
as
too.
many people as I can. And I
Without rushing their service, though.
right.
You know, it's not like I'm never running late. I'm not, I give them the proper amount of time, but it is a revolving door. It's one after another. I'm finishing with someone, the next person's walking in. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah. So if you need to take photos and like see it in different light or go outside, you need to schedule time for that.
Right. And you're not getting paid for that time.
Right.
You're not.
Right.
So I'm just saying, kudos to the people that can do it or have time to do it. Because again, I think what some people don't understand, because a lot of clients have asked me, how come I don't see you ever posting your work? I'm like, I don't have time. And plus, I don't get paid for that. I don't. That's extra.
That's
like
true.
Nowadays, I've been seeing a lot of funny posts where people are like, now you have to be a photographer. You have to be a videographer. You can't just do hair. You have to know. And another reason, people, why I don't take pictures is not because I don't love what I'm doing. I am the worst picture taker. I would cut off half your head. I would take if you see my pictures, like I've posted a few like clients, I'm like, oh my God, we have to take pictures. And I do it. I don't even know how to do it. I'll be honest. And I just got that new phone thinking, hey, this Pro Max, it has such a great camera. But if you still don't know how to position yourself, your pictures are going to come out like shit. Technology is not my thing. That's Barbara's thing. She's very good with that stuff. Like I had clients asking me yesterday about like our YouTubes, and things like that. They're like, oh, do you get to see like your analytics on that? And how do you know who's following you? And I'm like, I have no clue. I don't know anything from like YouTube. So I was telling her, I'm like, we have to ask Barbara. I'm like, I have no clue. But that's okay. That's why it's good teamwork, right? We got
Yes.
teamwork. We got
Yes.
teamwork, Barbara. So don't forget, people, watch our YouTubes. You need to subscribe. You need to follow. You need to share these awesome episodes, okay? Come on,
Yes.
you gotta get your girls on the map.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring up that the last time I went to see a doctor about my back, so I was going to a chiropractor and he was adjusting me, doing all these things, and it was helping, but it's like I don't think he was doing a bad job at all, but it freaked me out because the pain kept moving. Like it was on kind of one side in the back, and then it went to the other side, and then it went up, and then it went down, and then I was having like sciatic pain, and then it went like down my leg, and then like this, my foot was like I couldn't feel a couple of my toes.
Oh, that's the
And
nerve.
I was like,
I have
I was
nerve
freaking
pain.
out.
That Barbara, that's
Yeah.
what I have. You know, I just recently had an EMG done to see if you have nerve damage. And remember, I was telling you I have that hairline fracture, and it's in the bottom of my foot, so it's in the front heel. That part tingles and goes numb a lot of times from standing on it. Sometimes I can't feel like my foot at all when I'm standing at work. Well, what happened was it was started shooting up my whole left side. So what was happening? Sometimes I was like dropping brushes because it would go numb while I'm working. I'm like, what the hell? So I
That's
went and had
the carpal tunnel.
right. So when I went in, I had no nerve damage. Thank goodness, people, I could still do your hair. Don't worry. I'm good. But it's interesting you said that because the numbness that comes with that is typically from a nerve. It could be, and I also had like, they did a MRI because when they check your neck and I think the spine, they can't do the EMG there to tell if there's like nerve damage and stuff. So you have to do an MRI. So I had to do two different things just to see if there was nerve damage or to find out where the numbness was coming because it was actually shooting. And he said it was work related, carpal tunnel, what was happening in this hand. So that was carpal tunnel. But how interesting that it was only happening on the left side because how you're saying it's connected and travels. So that's why I was asking you, what did it feel like? Did it feel like cramping? Or for me, when I feel it, it's not cramping, but it's like the numbness, that tingling numbness comes all the way through. And that's typically a nerve. So nerve could be pressing on something or
Well, yeah, like when
a
you have
different
a
kind of
split
pain.
disc, it burns and tingles because if the muscles are like tight, if the disc is like fluid is coming out, it's pushing against the nerve and it's pushing the nerve into the bone. So it's like pinching it. And if you think of it like a straw, it's like cutting it off. So it's pinching it. Like,
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's why you can't feel below it.
That's interesting.
So anyway, but what I wanted to say is I went to the doctor and I didn't go back to the chiropractor for a little bit because I was really freaked out because I'd never had like numbness in my foot or my toe. And tell me how they said, oh, well, here's some muscle relaxers, some ibuprofen, and some narcotics. And I was like, can I get like an MRI? This is such an ongoing situation that I would like to know exactly what's wrong. And they said no.
So
they wouldn't like refer me.
So they were willing to give you a narcotics and drugs.
Yes.
Before
this
even.
Is why I really wanted to do this episode because it's crazy, and you have to be the CEO of your own body.
Yeah.
So, basically, she said I was like getting frustrated. I was trying really hard to be nice, but I was in pain, and I was like, I said to her, "So seriously, it's not that big a deal that I can't feel my big toe." And she said, "Well, no." And I'm like, I was beside myself. And she said, well, the reason we don't do an MRI is because the treatment is the same, whether it's X, Y, or Z. And I'm like, well, I would like to know because I need to know if it's a muscle problem. Is it a nerve problem? Like, what the hell is the exact issue?
Well, yeah, because think about that. If that is the problem, like you said, muscle, nerve, whatever it may be, can't that exacerbate into something else or a long-term disability maybe? So if
you would think.
Right. So you would think trying to find that out sooner would help you in the long run or to even help you, let's say, with work. You know, maybe you need a certain shoe, right? Because maybe how you're standing. Well, I'm kind of used to the numbness in my toe now. I'm not saying I enjoy it, but I do get that burning sensation. If I wear too flat of a shoe, a wedge works good for me. Platforms are the best. Something about not being so close to the floor when you're standing all day, Barbara, would really help you. Platforms are really good, I notice.
Well, I can't feel my toes again because of like what I've done since then.
Oh.
But I wanted to point out, because I think I'm a pretty regular person, I had no idea about this. I've had clients telling me there are now independent diagnostic imaging centers, like they do MRIs, and
Yeah.
it's considered direct to consumer. So direct to consumer means they're not trying to bill insurance. They're 100% like, here's our price, and we're not taking anyone's insurance of anything, and you pay us, and that's their business. So, but the reason this is genius is because it takes forever sometimes to get an MRI. Like my husband was trying to get an MRI. He had to have an MRI of both knees, and it took forever to get the appointment. And then the day before, they were saying, oh, we didn't get approval from insurance. So we had to reschedule. But first, I called them and I said, well, what would it cost if we just paid for it? $20,000.
Wait, what?
For the two. $10,000 per knee.
Holy
I'm serious. And this is 2023.
Wow.
But and we waited like a month to get it.
Okay, isn't
so
it a little ridiculous?
It is very ridiculous. Well, they have these all over the country now, and there's several in the Chicago suburbs where we are, and well, not tons, a few, and they charge, I want to say $400 or $500, and you just make an appointment within a week. You go, they do the imaging, you pay them, they give you a CD with the imaging on it.
I've done it before.
Or a flash drive.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Like, how great is that? And you don't have to fight over it. And then you can take that to whatever doctor.
So I had that done before. And that was back when I didn't have insurance, like 15 years ago, because it was so expensive and nobody ever offers us insurance. And I remember it back then being about $350 to $400, but it was like worth it. But it's like, how can that be $400 or $500? But they're wanting 20,000. You know, that's why this country is just like, things are kind of just out of control. I mean, I don't know. That's a whole other subject.
It is. I really would love to understand who makes up the numbers.
Right.
I just don't even know. And one last tip. This is actually humorous. So I've learned this over the years. A lot of us carry a little bit of medication in our purses. And if you have like a little plastic container that you might keep your pills or something, and I have one that has like a little dividers in it. So I keep, some Aleve in one, a little bit of ibuprofen, all the basics. And okay, this is a little bit sad. I also at all times have a like a hydrocodone and a muscle relaxer, just in case when I'm at work I have a problem.
Wow.
Because almost everybody has a story of when they their body stopped working at work.
Well, do you remember that happened to me like 2 Christmases ago, and I came to your room and you were helping remember I couldn't move? Do you remember that?
I do.
And you were trying to work it out for me, but you know what? I actually was able to finish my day. I literally stiffened up, you guys, and Barbara helped me. Like, I couldn't move. My middle of my back to the right side in the middle of like a blow dry cramped up so much I couldn't even move. Like, it was literally stiff. Barbara worked it out with her strong hands.
It's like a knot underneath the shoulder blade.
The shoulder blade, right.
Okay, but here's your tip for the day.
Yes.
If you're also somebody that has a prescription for Xanax, if you keep your Xanax and your ibuprofen in the same container, just kind of shake it up, shake. Then you go in there, and every time you take an ibuprofen, it's like dusted with Xanax.
Love you.
Not only are you reducing inflammation, you're sort of calming the fuck down.
Yes. Calm down, people. I thought I was the only one that did that because I, for years, suffered from, when I was younger, panic attacks. So I always carried like Ativan with me, even if I wasn't having like an episode or just because like if you've ever had like a panic attack, like you think you're dying, right? So now it's like I won't get out of a plane without one, or I just need to have, it's almost like keeping my inhaler with me because I'm asthmatic. You just have to have it just in case. And I do the same thing because I keep a small purse. So I keep my Ativan, my Advil, my Pepcid, like everything is one container. And for years, it's all dusted and kind of laced with my Ativan. And I never realized like this is probably why I'm always so happy and calm. Because even though I'm not taking that, I'm always somewhat kind of like chill. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Also, we were just having a good laugh the other day about the Will and Grace. There's this episode where Karen brings a party mix to a girl's sleepover, and it's uppers, downers, and candy corn.
I love her. She is my idol. When you sent that clip to me, I was dying. I'm like, I need to save this. I love her. I want to have a party just so I can walk around with a bowl of like pretzels and Adivans and uppers and downers and mushrooms, and just how much fun would that be?
Yeah. Hey, throw some edibles in there too.
Oh my God.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have to do some recon and then have an episode. All right, we're going on overtime here. So
Big
I'm
time.
I'm gonna say ta-ta for now.
Ta-ta.
Thanks for
Happy
listening.
New Year. Happy, healthy New Year.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe or follow. And please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Lastly, follow us on social media for clips of past and future episodes. All our accounts are listed in the show notes below. Thanks so much for listening.